What's up everyone, it's Alex. I want to talk to you today about the VFR. I'm going to take a few minutes today to talk to you about one of my favorite motorcycles ever made, literally, Honda VFR800. Now this video comes as a response to another comment left by one of my favorite viewers now, Pavel. Pavel had asked before about a replacement for his Vstrom 650, and I had recommended several motorcycles, one of them being a Vstrom 1000, because that's kind of like a logical upgrade from a Vstrom 650. But then Pavel came back in another comment and said that now it was kind of down to a Vstrom 1000 or a VFR800. And I thought that was a really interesting comparison to make and a really interesting thought. And then I realized I haven't made a video talking about a VFR800, and it's literally one of my favorite motorcycles ever made and one of my favorite concepts of motorcycle ever. So I'm going to throw a picture up right now of my favorite generation of VFR800. And that would be the fuel-injected versions where they went to what I would consider the more angular style of fairing and everything. I think that generation was a really good combination of nice-looking style. I liked the fuel injection on it. Everything about the bike fit me very well, so that's my favorite. If it's not your favorite, cool. Hey, whatever. What the VFR800 essentially is, and also as an extension, the later generations, the 1200, etc., is it is a bigger, a little bit more comfortable, more relaxed seating sport bike made by Honda, made to be kind of more leaning towards the sport touring spectrum, but not full-on sport touring. Like, it's not as big and heavy and sport touring-ish as, like, say, an FJR would be, or a Honda ST1300, or, you know, a BMW K touring bike, or anything like that. It's more on the sport touring light, like the lighter side of sport touring. So the VFR800 was a little bit bigger, a little bit more comfortable sport bike, a little bit higher handlebars, a little bit more relaxed foot pegs and everything, sport bike with an 800cc V4 engine on it. What that created was a really cool motorcycle with a really cool balance of handling with enough comfort and a powerful enough motor to get your sport kicks and be fast enough. Big enough motor where you could do whatever highway speeds you wanted to, wherever you want to go, you could do light touring on. It's not going to feel like you're overworking it. Smooth transmission, great handling. And the engine characteristic of that V4 is one of my favorite power delivery characteristics that I've ever felt. It reminds me a lot of some of the Triumph triples, the inline 3-cylinder motors as well, where you get that really nice balance between torque and horsepower, with a very nice kind of linear curve on it where everything happens at a very nice, smooth, linear type of experience. It's a really good balance between having some torque, having the horsepower, and having the smoothness and the overall engine feel. I know that's hard to explain, but the overall engine feel is just very nice. You know, you go with most V-twins, you're talking most of your power is going to be in the torquier side of things. There are exceptions, but most V-twins, you're talking mostly like a torque power curve. It's mostly on the bottom half. Most of your inline 4s, etc., you're talking more of a top half power curve with very little on the bottom. Your inline 3-cylinders and your V4s like the VFR800, you have a much more well-balanced, very nice, awesome power curve and engine characteristic to those types of motors. So the VFR800 with that 800 V4 motor was one of the best feeling and most pleasant motorcycle experiences I've ever had in my life. Couple that with the fact that for me, physically, the bike fit very well. It was nice, and for a sport kind of bike, it was nice and stretched out for me. It handled plenty good. The VFR800s that I liked had a single-sided swing arm on it, and I've always thought that that was an amazing looking and beautiful design setup. Just the entire bike to me was just good. That's the only way I can describe it. The VFR800 for me was just good, especially the fuel-injected generation with the more angular fairings on it. Now, I've had friends that had the previous generation with a little bit more rounded fairings and everything on them. They loved those as well. Those were very reliable as well. I just really liked the generation with the more angular fairings and the fuel injection, etc. I think my favorite was actually the red, white, and blue tri-colored one that Honda put out. That thing was freaking gorgeous, I think. Now, as an extension of that, the later generations, when they re-released the VFR, the 1200, also an amazing motorcycle. I've ridden plenty of those. Those, to me, got a little bit more sport touring because it was even bigger motor and even more relaxed. I think they were even more of a sport touring kind of a motorcycle, but that was also an amazing motorcycle. When they came out, they were a little bit expensive, but that was also an amazing motorcycle. But basically, for Pavel, Between a Vstrom 1000 and a VFR800, I don't think you can go wrong either way. Those are both incredible motorcycles, proven track records. The downside of the VFR is going to be with having that specific V4 motor. It's a little bit more maintenance intensive, and if you have to get it worked on, it will cost you a little bit more in labor because that V4 just in its nature takes a little bit more to work on. There's more disassembly involved. It's just a more complicated design basically. So like the Vstrom 1000 will be over time, I think, a less expensive motorcycle to own for repairs and maintenance. That VFR is going to require a little bit more maintenance and repair costs over time, but it's a cool enough motorcycle that to me, it's worth it. It's not going to be quite the same do everything like Swiss Army knife kind of motorcycle like the Vstrom is, because the Vstrom has taller suspension. It's going to be able to handle different weather situations a little bit better, I think. And if you put more adventure tires on it, you know, you can hit dirt roads and stuff better. Whereas the VFR is very much designed as a sport or sport touring on pavement type of motorcycle. It's not going to have the suspension travel and the other stuff, but very, very cool motorcycle. If you can only have one motorcycle, either of those is a fantastic choice. That's going to come down to personal preference. They sit very different. They're very different styles, and it's going to depend on what you can find in your area as well for a reasonable cost. But you can't go wrong either way. I want to take a few minutes to talk about the VFR800 because if I ever get a chance to just talk about the VFR800, I mean, that's a win-win. I'll talk about it. You guys can listen to me ramble on like an idiot about the motorcycle just because I absolutely love the VFR800, okay? Fantastic motorcycle. Great job, Honda. Way to go. That was a really good example of Honda being forward-thinking and innovative and making kind of a different and unique kind of a bike for that time. Side note, the Triumph Sprint ST from the same period, you know, the Sprint ST with the 1050 triple motor on it, I really, really like those bikes as well. Very similar seating position, power delivery, very similar idea to the VFR. Little bit bigger, a little bit more sport touring, but Sprint ST, another good honorable mention to check out. Look at the 1050 version. The 1050 version, I think, had the best motor on it for the Sprint ST's personal opinion. Anyway, those were my thoughts on the VFR800, comparing just a little bit to the Vstrom 1000, not a lot, and also the honorable mention on the Sprint ST. Pavel, you can't go wrong. Keep the questions coming. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I'm Alex. Peace.